The rain poured gently over the neon city of New Avalon, washing away the dust of another long day. The streets shimmered with reflected light, and the air carried the faint hum of hover cars passing overhead. Inside a small corner clinic, Dr. Adrian Holt wiped his hands clean and sighed. His clinic wasn't famous, but everyone in District 12 knew that if machines or muscles broke, Adrian could fix them both. He wasn't just a doctor. He was one of the few remaining biomech healers, humans trained to repair both biological tissue and cybernetic implants. After the wars with the alien Varine, many humans had replaced limbs, organs, and nerves with synthetic parts. Healing such hybrid bodies required patience, skill, and empathy. 3 things Adrian still had, even after the war had taken much from him. It was late when the clinic door chimed. Adrian looked up. A woman stepped in, her long coat soaked, her face hidden beneath a gray hood. She moved carefully as if every step hurt. Adrian gestured toward the recliner in the center of the room. "Evening," he said, his tone calm. "You're open to civilians, right?" she asked softly. Her voice was strange, metallic but still human. "Always," Adrian replied. "What seems to be the problem?" She hesitated before removing her hood. A faint blue glow ran along the side of her neck. Her left eye flickered like a damaged lens. "It's my nervous mesh," she explained. "It's burning. I thought it was a glitch, but it's spreading." Adrian nodded and motioned for her to lie down on the med table. "You came to the right place. Let me run a quick scan." He placed his scanner over her temple. The holographic screen lit up with red warning signs. Her name appeared. Evelyn Tran, serial number 45X9. Adrian froze. That designation, X9, belonged to the government's Project Ascendant, a rumored experiment to merge human consciousness with alien technology. He had thought it was just a myth. "You're not from around here, are you?" Adrian asked carefully. Evelyn smiled faintly. "You could say that. I was assigned to something bigger. But it didn't go as planned." "What do you mean?" She closed her eyes, her expression pained. "They said I would become the first bridge between species, but instead of peace, I became a weapon." Her voice trembled slightly. "Now I can't stop hearing the voices." Adrian frowned and studied the readings. Her neural mesh wasn't just malfunctioning. It was trying to connect to something outside the clinic. The pattern looked like a communication signal, bouncing through multiple quantum frequencies. "Someone's still trying to reach you," he murmured. Evelyn looked at him with tired eyes. "I know, and if they find me again, they'll finish what they started." The rain outside grew heavier, a rhythm like war drums against the glass. Adrian took a deep breath and made his decision. "All right," he said. "I'll fix the mesh, but I'll also cut the link." She looked startled. "You'd do that?" "It could put you in danger," Adrian smiled. "You're in my clinic. That makes you my responsibility." He prepared his instruments, sterile nanogel, a neural calibrator, and a manual override chip he'd designed himself. As he worked, he spoke to keep her calm. "So, you said you were part of Project Ascendant. Was it really about merging with alien tech?" "Yes," she said slowly. "They found a fragment of Varine code after the war. It wasn't a weapon, at least not at first. It was a living program, something that could adapt and learn emotions. They wanted to see if humans could synchronize with it." "I volunteered." Adrian raised an eyebrow. "Volunteered? Why?" Evelyn smiled faintly. "Because I believed humans could learn from the Varine instead of destroying them." He nodded, understanding the hope and pain in her words. Many had lost faith after the war, but not everyone wanted revenge. Some still dreamed of coexistence. The scanner beeped, interrupting his thoughts. The neural mesh was deeper than expected. It ran through her entire spine. "This isn't standard human tech," Adrian muttered. "It's not," she admitted. "It's half organic. That's why it hurts. The alien code keeps evolving." Adrian injected the nanogel and began syncing his calibrator. The holographic screen flickered, showing glimpses of alien symbols, curving lines that pulsed like living veins. "I've seen this pattern before," Adrian whispered. "On the battlefield. It's Varine command code." Evelyn's eyes widened. "Then you know what it means." He nodded grimly. "It means your body isn't rejecting the code. It's adapting to it. You're changing, Evelyn." She looked away. "That's why I came here. I needed a repair, yes, but also more than that. I need help understanding what I'm becoming." Adrian paused. Her request wasn't just about pain or malfunction. She was asking for guidance, perhaps even redemption. He realized then that she didn't fear death. She feared losing her humanity. "I'll help you," he said quietly. "But first, I need to see where this link goes." He connected his scanner to the mesh and activated a secure line. Instantly, the room lights dimmed. The holographic screen filled with alien text. The signal source appeared in deep space just beyond the Orion Rift, a dead zone where no human ship survived. "What is that?" Adrian asked. Evelyn's voice became distant. "It's the Varine home signal. It's calling me back." The screen flashed, and for a moment Adrian heard a faint whisper. Many voices speaking at once, too fast to understand. The power surged, lights flickering. Evelyn convulsed on the table. "Hold on," Adrian shouted, gripping her arm. He pressed the override chip into the port at her neck. The signal shrieked, then cut out. Silence fell. The only sound was the rain. After a long moment, Evelyn opened her eyes. They no longer flickered with blue light. Instead, a soft amber glow replaced it. She breathed slowly, her body relaxing. "It's quiet," she whispered. "You stopped it," Adrian exhaled. "I cut the connection, for now. But they'll notice." Evelyn sat up weakly. "Then I need to leave before they find me." Adrian looked at her with concern. "If they're tracking your neural mesh, they'll trace your last location. That gives you maybe 6 hours before they arrive." She smiled sadly. "You sound like a man who's seen too many wars." "I am," he replied. Evelyn stood and adjusted her coat. "Thank you, Doctor. You've done more than just fix my body. You've given me time." Adrian hesitated before asking, "Where will you go?" "Somewhere quiet," she said. "Somewhere I can figure out what kind of human I still am." She turned to leave, but Adrian stepped forward. "If you start hearing the voices again, come back. I might have another way." Evelyn nodded once and walked out into the rain. The door closed behind her, leaving Adrian alone with the faint hum of his machines. He looked at the flickering screen. Despite cutting the link, one small symbol remained glowing, a Varine glyph looping endlessly. It wasn't a trace of corruption. It was a message. In translation, it read, "Humanity is not the enemy." Adrian stared at it, his mind racing. The Varine were supposed to hate humans, yet here was proof that something or someone among them wanted peace. Maybe Evelyn's transformation wasn't an accident at all. As thunder rolled across the city, Adrian made his choice. He downloaded the data fragment and began decoding it. Somewhere deep inside, he felt the spark of hope he thought he'd lost years ago. Because maybe, just maybe, the war wasn't over, and this time humanity's greatest weapon might be understanding. The night wind howled through the narrow alleys of New Avalon as Evelyn Tran pulled her coat tighter around herself. The neon lights flickered above, reflecting off the wet pavement like liquid fire. Her mechanical joints ached with every movement, but the pain reminded her that she was still human, at least part of her. She moved quickly, avoiding surveillance drones that drifted lazily overhead. Her neural mesh was quieter now, the constant whisper of alien voices gone since Dr. Adrian Holt severed the link. But in that silence, something else grew. A faint rhythm like a second heartbeat buried deep inside her mind. It wasn't pain. It was purpose. She reached the edge of the district and stopped at a freight terminal. A massive ship was preparing to launch, its cargo hold full of supplies for the outer colonies. She slipped past the guards using an old access code from her government days. The ship's AI recognized her ID and opened the gate without question. "Destination?" the terminal voice asked. "Outer Rim. Anywhere far," she replied softly. The gate beeped, and she stepped inside. As the ship lifted into the sky, Evelyn looked down at the glowing sprawl of New Avalon shrinking beneath her. Somewhere down there, Adrian was probably decoding that alien message. She hoped he would be safe, because if what she feared was true, the Varine weren't the only ones looking for her. Far below, in the quiet of his clinic, Dr. Adrian Holt sat before the holographic display. The alien glyph still pulsed softly, repeating the same message. Humanity is not the enemy. He leaned forward, studying it. The more he analyzed the data, the more he realized something strange. The message wasn't random. It was interactive, changing slightly each time he examined it. It was as if the code was responding to him. Then, without warning, his console flashed red. Incoming signal detected. Adrian's heart jumped. No, not again, he muttered, reaching to shut down the network. But the system locked him out. The screen filled with Varine text and a distorted human voice came through the speakers. You helped her. You interfered. Adrian froze. The voice was both mechanical and alive, echoing like metal scraping against stone. She carries the code. You cannot stop it. Bring her back or humanity will face extinction. Then the connection died, leaving behind a static hiss. Adrian sat back, heart pounding. Whoever or whatever had sent that message wasn't just trying to retrieve Evelyn. They were threatening all of humanity. He opened his emergency drawer and pulled out a dusty data drive labeled Project Aegis. He had promised himself never to use it again, but desperate times didn't allow promises. He grabbed his coat, locked the clinic doors, and headed out into the rain. Evelyn sat inside the cargo hold of the transport ship, staring out a small viewport as stars streaked by. Space always felt peaceful to her, an endless silence where no one could judge what she had become. But peace didn't last long. A sharp beep echoed from her wrist comm. A red icon blinked. Tracking signal detected. Her breath caught. No, she whispered. She checked her systems. The neural mesh was still isolated. The signal wasn't coming from her, it was coming toward her. She opened the ship's network feed and saw it. 3 small Hunter-class ships approaching fast. Their transponders identified them as Vanguard recovery units, the same kind the government used to retrieve experimental assets. They weren't here to talk. Evelyn moved fast. She climbed to the ship's control deck and accessed the navigation console. The pilot, a tired-looking android, turned its head slightly. Passenger, you are not authorized to be here, it said calmly. Evelyn held up a small device. Override code Sigma 8. Authorization Tran Evelyn. The android's eyes flickered. Code accepted. Command authority granted. Good, she said. Prepare for evasive maneuvers. Warning, the android replied. Engaging evasive flight may void your travel insurance. Evelyn almost smiled. I'll risk it. The ship's thrusters roared as it turned sharply, avoiding a missile blast that streaked past the hull. The cargo hold rattled violently, crates spilling open. The stars outside blurred as they dove into the dark side of a nearby asteroid belt. Status? Evelyn demanded. Shields at 60%. Hull integrity stable. Pursuers closing distance, the android reported. Evelyn clenched her jaw. Then we make them regret following us. She accessed her neural interface and linked directly with the ship's system. Her mind flooded with data streams, targeting algorithms and flight patterns. She could feel the ship's pulse as if it were part of her own body. Target lock, she whispered. Energy beams burst from the transport's turrets, striking one of the pursuing ships. The explosion painted the void in orange light. 2 more ships remained, weaving through the asteroids with deadly precision. Not bad, the android commented. For a civilian. I'm not exactly a civilian, she said grimly. The second hunter fired. The impact threw her off balance, but she steadied herself. Return fire. The last enemy ship dodged and fired again, this time hitting the engine. Sparks flew across the deck. Evelyn felt pain flash through her body. The neural link transmitted the ship's damage directly into her nervous system. She screamed and dropped to her knees. Disengage, Link, the android shouted. Evelyn gasped and broke the connection. The ship spun out of control, crashing through a small asteroid before finally stabilizing in a dark pocket of debris. The sensors flickered, then went silent. They were hidden. For now. Evelyn breathed heavily, clutching her chest. Status? Minor hull breach, the android said. Engines offline. Life support stable. She stood up slowly. Good. That gives us a moment to think. She looked out the viewport. The stars shimmered, and for a brief second she saw something impossible. A massive structure hidden behind the asteroid field, glowing faintly blue. It wasn't human-built. It was Varine. Her neural mesh pulsed in response. The alien code inside her reacted to the sight, like it recognized its home. Symbols flashed behind her eyes, coordinates, signals, memories that weren't hers. What are you? She whispered to herself. Back on Earth, Adrian's hovercar raced along the old transport highway. The rain had turned to fog and lightning flashed across the horizon. He activated his comms. Central Command, this is Dr. Adrian Holt, civilian researcher, code Alpha 9, he said urgently. I need clearance for an orbital uplink. The voice that replied was cold. Clearance denied. You are off record, Doctor. Listen to me, he snapped. Project Ascendant is active again. I've got proof. Varine code is inside one of our people. If we don't act now, we could lose everything. There was silence on the other end. Then the voice spoke again, quieter this time. We warned you not to reopen that project. The last time you did, 2 cities were destroyed. Adrian gritted his teeth. That wasn't the code's fault, it was ours. We misused it. But now it's reaching out to us again, and maybe this time it's trying to help. Help? The voice repeated. Or control? The transmission ended abruptly. Adrian hit the dashboard in frustration. Fine, he muttered. I'll do it myself. He accelerated toward the orbital shuttle station. If Evelyn had gone off-world, he had to follow. The only way to stop this, or understand it, was to find her first. Evelyn stood in the shadow of the massive alien structure, her ship floating silently among the rocks. The hull's damage lights flickered weakly, casting a dim red glow over her face. The structure was breathtaking, smooth silver metal, half buried in the asteroid. Strange glyphs pulsed along its surface, matching the same pattern in her neural mesh. She activated her suit and floated toward it. As she touched the surface, the metal rippled under her fingers, responding to her presence. A doorway opened and a soft light spilled out. Evelyn hesitated only for a second before stepping inside. The interior was vast and silent. She could feel the hum of power through her boots. At the center stood a crystal-like pillar glowing faintly blue. Then a voice echoed in her mind. Not like before, not painful, but calm and familiar. Welcome, Evelyn Tran, you have returned to us. She froze. Who are you? We are the Varine Collective. The code you carry is not a weapon. It is a seed. A seed? She asked. A bridge between our species. You were chosen because humanity still hopes. She shook her head. The government used me. They turned your code into a tool for war. Yes, the voice said sadly. And now both our kinds suffer. But together we can heal. Evelyn's eyes widened. Heal how? By awakening what was left behind within you. The pillar's light intensified. The alien energy surged into her chest, merging with her neural mesh. She cried out as symbols and memories flashed before her eyes, images of stars, cities, and beings of light. When it ended, she fell to her knees, gasping. She felt changed, stronger, clearer. You are no longer a weapon, Evelyn Tran. The voice whispered. You are our messenger. As the light dimmed, she knew one thing for certain. Whatever was coming next, humanity would never be the same again. The light around Evelyn Tran faded slowly, leaving behind only the faint hum of the alien chamber. Her breathing was heavy, but her mind felt clear, clearer than it had ever been. The voices were gone, replaced by a calm rhythm echoing through her chest. The energy of the Varine Collective flowed inside her now, gentle but powerful, like the heartbeat of an entire civilization. She stood, her step steady. The crystal pillar before her dimmed, its task complete. The voice of the collective whispered one last time in her mind. You are the link between us. Go, Evelyn Tran. Show humanity that we seek peace and not war. Evelyn nodded silently. She looked around the glowing chamber once more, then turned and walked back through the doorway into the darkness of space. Outside, the broken transport ship drifted among the asteroids. Its hull was scarred but still functional. The android pilot turned its head as she re-entered. Passenger, it said. You were gone for 17 minutes. My systems detected high-energy emissions from the asteroid. Explain. Evelyn smiled faintly. Let's just say I found what I was looking for. She sat in the pilot seat and ran her hand across the console. Can you repair the engines? The android hesitated. With available parts, partial functionality is possible. Do it, she said. We're going back to Earth. The android paused. Return? Risk level extreme. Evelyn looked out into the endless stars. If I don't go back, more people will die. Humanity needs to know the truth, and so do they. Far below on Earth, Dr. Adrian Holt stood in the shuttle hangar as his transport rose through the storm clouds. He had bribed, argued, and hacked his way past military checkpoints to get here. Now finally, he was leaving the planet, chasing a woman he barely knew but somehow understood. He had spent years studying machines, coding synthetic nerves and repairing damaged implants. But Evelyn had shown him something different. Something alive. He opened his communicator and played the last signal he had decoded from the alien message. It repeated softly, "Humanity is not the enemy." Adrian leaned back and whispered to himself, "Then maybe it's time we stop acting like one." The shuttle broke through the atmosphere and entered the dark of space. Ahead, the stars spread out like a sea of endless possibilities. His navigation display blinked. The last trace of Evelyn's ship, faint but still there, leading toward the asteroid belt beyond the Orion Rift. "Hold on, Evelyn," he murmured. "I'm coming." Evelyn's ship limped through the dark, one engine still flickering. The journey back would take hours, maybe days, but she didn't care. She spent the time studying the changes within her. Her neural mesh glowed faintly gold instead of blue now. She could feel information moving through her, not as pain, but as knowledge. Sometimes she saw flashes, distant worlds, alien faces, and stars that had never been mapped. She understood what the collective wanted. They weren't conquerors anymore. They were refugees scattered across the galaxy searching for peace after centuries of war. They had chosen her, a human, to speak for them. Suddenly, the proximity alarm beeped. Evelyn frowned. "Report," she said. The android replied, "Object approaching high-speed human signature." She looked at the radar. A small shuttle was moving toward her fast. Her heart skipped. "Can you identify it?" "Civilian model," the android said. "Energy output matches older medical-class ships." Evelyn's breath caught. "Adrian." She activated the comms. "Dr. Holt, is that you?" Static filled the line for a moment before a voice broke through. "Evelyn, you're alive!" "I thought, I'm fine," she interrupted, "mostly. You shouldn't have followed me." "I had to," he said. "You've started something that could change everything." "The government intercepted my transmission. They're preparing to launch orbital weapons. They think you're leading the Varine back to finish the war." Evelyn clenched her fists. "They're wrong. The Varine don't want war. They want peace." "I believe you," Adrian said. "But they won't. Not without proof." Evelyn looked out the viewport at the endless void. "Then we'll give them proof." Hours later, both ships entered Earth's orbit, hiding on the dark side of the moon to avoid detection. Below them, massive defense satellites rotated slowly, armed and ready. Adrian joined Evelyn aboard her damaged transport. He looked at her and froze for a moment. Her eyes now glowed faintly gold, and her skin shimmered slightly under the light. "You're different," he said softly. "I'm still me," she replied. "Just more." He nodded. "So what's the plan?" Evelyn pointed toward Earth. "We need to reach the global net core, the central communication array. If I can link to it, I can send the Varine message to every major colony at once." Adrian frowned. "They'll trace the signal in seconds." "Then we don't give them seconds," she said firmly. "We send it fast and make sure the truth spreads before they can shut it down." He smiled. "That sounds like something I'd do." "Guess you're rubbing off on me," she replied, almost laughing. For the first time in a long while, Adrian saw something in her eyes, hope. They flew together in a small shuttle toward Earth's upper atmosphere. As they entered the stratosphere, alarms blared. The defense grid had spotted them. "Unauthorized vessel detected. Prepare for interception," a robotic voice announced through the radio. "Here we go," Adrian muttered. 2 defense drones approached, weapons armed. Evelyn took control of the ship, her neural mesh glowing brighter. "Hold on," she said. The ship dove sharply, weaving between the drones. Beams of plasma tore through the clouds, missing them by inches. Evelyn's movements were precise, almost too precise, like the ship was an extension of her body. "Nice flying," Adrian shouted. "I had good teachers," she said, thinking of the alien knowledge now guiding her hands. They broke through the clouds, heading straight for the global net tower, a massive structure rising from the heart of New Avalon. Reaching high into the sky, Adrian looked down. "If we crash into that thing, we're both dead," Evelyn smirked. "We're not crashing." She flipped a switch. "Brace for manual link." The shuttle's front canopy opened and Evelyn stood, energy radiating from her body. Golden lines of code flowed across her arms as she reached toward the tower. A beam of light connected her to it. The world seemed to freeze. Every communication channel on Earth flickered. Every screen, every hologram, every broadcast showed the same image. Evelyn Tran standing in a storm of golden light, her voice calm but powerful. "Humans of Earth," she said. "My name is Evelyn Tran. I am part of you and part of something greater. The war you fear is over. The Varine are not your enemies. They seek peace just as we do." Images filled the broadcasts, visions from the alien memory inside her. Cities of light, stars being born, and ancient beings reaching out to humanity not with weapons but with open hands. Her words continued. "We fought because we didn't understand each other. But we can learn. We can rebuild together. I am proof of that." On the ground, millions stopped to watch. Soldiers lowered their weapons. Scientists stared in disbelief. Children pointed at the glowing figure and whispered that she looked like an angel. But in the sky, military ships still moved closer, preparing to fire. Adrian saw the incoming missiles on the scanner. "Evelyn, they're going to shoot." Evelyn turned toward him, her eyes glowing brighter. "Then let's show them what peace looks like." She raised her hands and a golden wave pulsed from her body. The missiles froze mid-air, surrounded by shimmering light. Then slowly they turned and disarmed themselves, falling harmlessly into the ocean below. The entire planet went silent. Adrian stared in awe. You stopped them," Evelyn smiled gently. "No. I reminded them of what they are." The golden light began to fade. Evelyn's body trembled. The energy was draining fast. Adrian ran to her side, catching her as she fell. "You did it," he said softly. "They saw. They all saw." She looked up at him weakly. "Promise me, you'll finish what we started." "I will," he said. Her golden eyes dimmed and she whispered, "Then humanity still has hope." The light around her faded completely. For a moment Adrian thought she was gone, but then the neural mesh on her neck glowed softly again, steady and calm. "She's still alive," he murmured, "still connected." He looked out the viewport at Earth below. News feeds and transmissions were already spreading the truth about Evelyn, the Varine, and the chance for peace. The world was changing, and this time for the better. Adrian smiled faintly. "She asked for more than just a repair," he said quietly. "And she gave humanity something more than we ever expected." He turned back to the stars, where distant lights shimmered like promises waiting to be kept. Because in that moment, for the first time in centuries, humanity wasn't fighting to survive. They were learning to live.